Hey guys, Dave Boyce here with an IHW exclusive. It's the Q&A with Kevin Tyler, and Kevin Tyler is here with me right now. We are live on Blab, and we'll be recording this. We got lots of questions from you guys. First and foremost, Kevin Tyler, hello, sir, and welcome to your Q&A.
Thank you very much. I know Q&As are pretty popular lately, but
It seems to be.
I hope you can vouch for me that I came with this idea like a while back, and then I wanted to wait for a while, and then other people did Q&A, so I held up a little bit longer. I intended video
it
from
seems to be the season of Q&As. Before I begin with the Q&As, the questions that have been sent to me, just quickly for people that may not know who Kevin Tyler is, just a little bit of a backstory of who you are and what you're all about.
Who doesn't know who I am?
Where were you born? Where were you?
So I've been part of the Maritime Wrestling scene for over 10 years now. Kind of got known. I was trained to be a wrestler, but I got known as a manager for IHW for quite a long time, and then from there spread out, managed a lot of other promotions. I've actually managed. I had a one time the area of places I was managing was larger than probably any other manager in North America. I don't say it to brag, but just geographically that was true. Yeah, and then just kind of worked my way through IHW, and I guess promoter is the correct term. First among equals is what I like, because I'm not the only person, but I just put my face out there, as you can see, take all the credit for it.
Cool. So I just want to clarify that this is not like a podcast. These are not my questions. These were sent in by people, so I'm just going to read them off, and
if you want to ask me questions,
it's up to you to answer them.
If you have one, a burning question, go ahead.
I might throw some in. Anyway, how did you first get involved in wrestling? So how did Kevin Tyler just one day say, "I'm going to get involved"?
I've told this story many times, and it actually, New Scott has a little interview with me up on his YouTube page. I asked him to take it down because this was coming up. I didn't want to overlap on questions, but I have a more detailed version there. But essentially, I wanted to be a wrestler, and I got to the point where it was backyard wrestling and stuff, and I was going to quit university to move out west to train. And my parents thought that was crazy, so my dad had a contact with Stephen Pettipaw. He got me in touch with him, and Steve Pettipaw's job was to talk me out of trying to be a wrestler, and said I talked him into opening a training school here. So we trained, spent a couple years with Steve, never really went anywhere with it. We kind of ran our own shows for a while, some terrible wrestling shows. But eventually IHW came along, and after a couple of years, I got involved with them. And hey, like I said before, just grew with that. That's a short version of it.
Yeah. So IHW came along. So that already existed. You didn't invent or start IHW. How did IHW begin? And the other question that someone asked was, who came up with the name, and what does it mean? So how did you and IHW become a partner?
Well, I knew the guys who started IHW long before there was an innovative hybrid wrestling, a professional wrestling company. What does that mean? Nothing. It's a case of words trying to fit the letters, because IHW existed first before innovative hybrid wrestling. And what originally was Irish Town Hardcore Wrestling. It was the backyard group that Titus and Julian, in front of some of the original guys, were a part of. And they had built up a following, a genuine following for backyard wrestling. So when they were going to turn pro, they had been trained. They wanted to keep the letters IHW, but obviously Irish Town and Hardcore weren't going to work. So someone, I don't know who, no idea who came up with it. I came with innovative hybrid wrestling, and that's what we've stuck with for 10 years.
And you were a wrestler when you first started with them, or did you go strictly manager?
With IHW, I came as a manager. I trained to be a wrester a couple of years ago. I actually trained before, like Titus and Julian and Burke and all those guys had trained. I trained and then kind of did nothing with it. There wasn't a lot of opportunities. I didn't have a wrestler's look. Wasn't a natural in the ring. So I had a couple of matches with some promotions and really never went anywhere. And kind of stepped back for a while. And we ran our own shows too, which were terrible. As much as I crap on some of these guys running shows, I've been there, I've done it, I get it. But yeah, I just kind of stepped away for a while, and then with IHW, I wanted to get in. I wanted to be a wrestler with IHW, but they said no. And after a while, I kind of sucked it up and go, well, there's an opportunity to be a manager there. Chris Cole was getting involved, and he felt like the right kind of guy who needed a manager. So they said, yeah, go ahead, give it a shot. And they kind of gave us carte blanche for years to do our own thing, and it just worked. It stuck, and I got over. He got over, and I started managing other people and started managing elsewhere. From there, as far as how my role is, I just kind of stuck around and shot ideas around until people are like, why don't you take the ball? Me and Dave at one point were kind of given the ball to run with IHW, and here we are today. Do, even if you're not, I know that if you want to be a manager, you're probably not a great athlete, or you want to be a wrestler. Let's be honest. Tough it out. Learn what they're learning. And if you have a good trainer who understands, okay, you're not going to be a wrestler out of this. You might take it easy on you, not drill you till you're dead. But go to wrestling school. Pay all the same dues that they pay. When they're given advice in the ring, listen and think, how can I apply that outside the ring? That's what I had to do, because no one taught me the art of managing. And there's still a lot of things I should have learned for my role, and I never did. So go to wrestling school. Do everything the same as a wrestler is doing with your role. And the other thing you can do, if you want to be a manager, come get some advice. I did a show, or I wouldn't do a show. I was at a show not too long ago that had more managers than you would need on an independent wrestling show, but they were all there. And maybe not everyone knew who I was, which is a problem with Maritimes. I kind of think you should know at least who I am or what I've done if you know wrestling. And not a single person asked me a question about how can I get better at this? What should I do here? Nothing. So go to wrestling school and ask me questions. That's what I tell
you. Talking of guy. Oh. I have an echo up there. Is your volume turned up?
My volume? I can hear you. I'll turn my volume.
Okay, good. I was getting an echo for a second.
Okay.
Talking about students and those people who go to wrestling school, a question that was sent, is there anyone out there right now, whether it's a student or an up-and-comer or an established star who wrestles elsewhere, that you would want in IHW? Anybody catching your eye?
Well, there definitely is. I like a lot of the students that are coming out of the last couple years of the Wildman school, because they maybe not ready to kind of wrestle on IHW's level, but they are excellent guys who are doing things the right way. They're trained. What's the next step? We're kind of polishing their training. We're giving them practice matches, and they're helping out the show. And there's some great guys. Justin, Connors, Brett. Jordan's kind of got the advantage of having a great physique, so he's already getting a lot more bookings. He's definitely in that category too. So those students are great. I hope they get there. I hope they become great wrestlers someday, and I'm going to do everything I can to help them out. So, in the long term, definitely those guys. Anyone else who's around, I mean, I think the IHW is the best overall roster, but that doesn't mean that everyone who's great in the Maritime is in IHW right now. There's lots of guys who are fantastic that we're not currently using. If I give shout-outs, I don't want to leave anyone out, but I do have to give shout-outs to guys I've been recently impressed by. American Patriot, Sexton Phoenix. I remember him from so long ago, and to see him now, many years later, he's got a hell of a physique on him now. The Answer, I saw a TCW show. I enjoyed his work incredibly. He was good. He's come a long way. I think who else is out there? I don't want to leave anyone out because there's lots of good guys.
Right.
Yeah, I'll leave it there because if I start naming guys, I'll be around everyone's great. And the guy that I mentioned to bring in IHW, and I'm going to work on it, would be Tyson Dukes. One of the best going right now. Fantastic. So.
Yeah. Okay. A question sent. What do you look for in a wrestler when booking talent for IHW?
You got to have a look, and you got to be entertaining. That's what it comes down to. At this point, if you look around the Maritimes, the talent we have, we're finally at a point where the guys are finally in great shape. You know, if you're not, you're going to stand out. You know, you don't belong. Looking at IHW, you know, I don't mean this offensively, but we have a fat guy. We have Remy, who is the best at what he does for that body style. I don't need another one of those. We got Remy. We've got a skinny guy. We got that in Shane Stevens. That works for him. Don't need anyone else who looks that way. We got a doughy guy in Canadian Idol or Country Idol, sorry, and he's actually working hard on his fitness. Hopefully, within a year, he's going to make major gains. But we have guys already in those slots. So if anyone else wants to be an IHW, you better come with the look, because we already have the non-typical wrestler looks filled. And you got to be entertaining. I mean, and that doesn't mean you do cool moves. I think everyone gets that. It's not about moves. It's about how you entertain the crowd. So look good and entertain us. That's all I can ask for.
You mentioned earlier about the Wildman Academy. I had a question regarding Wildman Academy. The question was, you recently worked a TCW show where you managed Big John. He was a student. You also booked Madison Miles for her first match. The question was, why do you feel these students chose other companies to debut instead of Wrestle Center, which pretty well was funding or was running the Wildman Academy? So why do you think they decided to go elsewhere and not with the company that was running the school?
Well, I can only speak on those two specifically because I know those cases. If there's other people coming out and getting their matches elsewhere, I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe the opportunities weren't there. I'm not big on booking guys like rookies for their first match either. So kind of want, hopefully, learn here, then go apply it somewhere else, get good, then come back. So maybe that's Wrestle Center's philosophy. With Madison Miles, well, I mean, it's Madison Miles. Everyone knows who she is. So it's kind of what I would never say no to that. That's even if it's going to be in Campbellton where no one there knew her, the fact that we could put that match online and say, hey, IHW had Madison Miles' first pro match, everyone's going to watch that. So that's, in a business sense, we're going to get hits to our YouTube account. But also, on a personal level, she was given this opportunity to go on tour of Ontario and Quebec. She had a very, between when she found out she could go and when she was going to start, there's a very small window. And her parents really wanted to be there for her first match. They weren't going to be able to, as I understand it, go to any of this tour. And the only show in the Maritimes happening before she left was our Campbellton show. So she asked, and I thought with the logistics of it, I didn't want to say no, but I think with the logistics of everything, that the show needed the match, can we make it happen? And we made it happen. So that's kind of the reasons for Madison. With John, as far as I can tell you, John was brought into the wrestling business by Peter Smith, and he was trained. Gary trained him because Pete recommended him, and when it came to his first match or his first appearance, Pete not a big fan of Wrestle Center, so as soon as he was done training, he kind of pulled him out of that scene, and as a kind of we got him a chance in TCW. So. Someone doesn't like Wrestle Center, but that doesn't mean everybody doesn't.
Well, we will get to that shortly.
I'm sure we will.
First, we're slowly building to the Maritime Wrestling scene. But quickly, a couple questions regarding business. One of the questions sent was, how does IHW consistently draw respectable crowds in small markets? So you recently went to Miramichi. Anyway, how you consistently, because you guys are drawing great crowds wherever you go.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the crowds that we got in our expansion towns. We moved to Miramichi, Bathurst, and Campbellton this year. And what people don't realize is Bathurst was a huge crowd. We just did it in a really big arena, so you couldn't tell. It's tied for second as far as the crowds we drew this year. The biggest is obviously the Jake show. The second was our first show of 2015 that had Marcus Burke and Chris Cook retirement match. Bathurst show had just as many people as that show at the Lions Club. So how did we do it? I mean, we kind of have, at this point, we kind of know what we're doing as far as promoting. There's a bit of a formula to what we do as far as how we approach newspapers and radio stations. I'm talking with my hands, but no one can see it. I just have to put them up here.
It's okay.
But the trick is to promote, and you have to invest money into your show. You have to. I know people think put up a few posters, and posters are important. You want to have that visibility, but it goes way beyond that. And yeah, you have to put money into your show if you want to get money back out of the show. So after all these years, we've kind of learned what it's going to take, and so it starts off with proper promoting through different media channels, and then it goes to word of mouth and social media. So I'm really excited to go back to all the new towns we went to this year, because I want to see how much we can build on last time, and hopefully they're all increases.
Right. You recently said in an interview that IHW almost folded a couple of years ago. Why did that almost happen? And the other question was, what made you decide to stick with IHW and get it back to where it is today?
Well, you can see some of that answer in the New Scott interview I did. In case I forget, don't mention something here, probably more information there. The reason we were almost folded, it was pretty much a general burnout of everybody, top to bottom. And I'm not going. Then there was some personal issues between certain people. Nothing with me. I never had any personal problems with anyone, but personalities are clashing. There's personal issues. I won't go into those details. That's not my place to talk about. But suffice to say that just some people weren't getting along on a personal level. And that makes things frustrating. It's kind of a toxic environment, and everyone who's pretty much running the show not only have to deal with that, but like I say, we do it for years, every month, getting burned out. And we tried to get different people to do different things, and it just wasn't. We had some ups and downs. It wasn't quite clicking, and then we ran into this issue with the Moncton Boxing Commission, which has always been this big deal in Moncton. They didn't let us run wrestling shows in Moncton. We fell under their jurisdiction. There was changes to the law because of MMA, because for a long time MMA was technically illegal in Canada. So with its rise in popularity, they rewrote the criminal code to make sure MMA was legal. And because there was some talk about the code of prize fighting in Canada, the Moncton Boxing Commission decided to kind of pick up on that and threaten our venue in Riverview, which is outside city limits, which is why we ran there for so many years. And our venue was freaking out, going, is what we're doing illegal? So we kind of, while we get these legal things figured out, we step back, which is great, because everyone was burned out anyway. And I'll admit it now, we kind of used the Moncton Boxing Commission as an excuse to stop running for a few months. We would have no problem. We kept running over there. We just needed time off. So we all kind of stepped back and took a few months and look, where are we? What do we want to do with this? And some people were ready to just walk away. A lot of the guys, the wrestlers, were getting some great bookings elsewhere. By this point, Red Rock was fully established and running a number of shows. They're getting great crowds. Cape Breton was doing good shows. People were touring in Newfoundland. You could pick up dates at UCW at this point. So there was a lot of options elsewhere. Even some guys were working with Ryan Heath XWA. So IHW wasn't needed anymore. So not everyone was going to fight for it. But it was because of Dave Colley that we all kind of got back into it. He never gave up on it. He took the time off to evaluate our options, how to make this better, not debate whether we should be around or not. And from that, he wanted to film a pilot for Bell, so we got back together. We just ran a show, and from there, we became focused on getting TV, and we did. And between Dave and Bell, that's what changed IHW. Hold on, my phone's ringing. Let's see who's calling me. Yeah. Sorry.
Tell them you're busy.
I'm busy. Yeah, so Dave Colley brought us back. He got me back on board, got me excited again. And once Bell was locked down, new life into the company, kind of changed how we do things, and it's been all uphill since then. That's the best I can give you.
You mentioned
some
Bell.
Personal issues between people, but again, that's not my place to talk about.
No, well, I'll ask you that some other time.
You won't drink some about it.
You brought up your TV deal with Bell. One of the questions we received, and I'll read it. Some people feel if Bell TV 1 dropped wrestling from their program, Wrestle Center would fold. What is IHW's position if Bell dropped your wrestling program?
I don't know.
And you agree with that statement?
Well, as Wrestle Center is run now, yeah, probably, but it doesn't mean they can't change things and adapt to the. But I know they see themselves as a TV product more than anything. But hey, if you've got something and then TV's gone, would they fold? They'd have to change 180. They'd have to change what they're doing. But as far as IHW, it would hurt a little bit. But what Bell has done for us, we didn't really change much of how we do things. We're still pretty much a live event product. What Bell has done for us is given us better exposure and given us a little cushion with funding that we can go to these new towns and finally get out there and start touring around. And we don't have to worry that, what if we don't draw tonight? It's going to hurt our savings. Like, well, we tape for TV, we sell the footage, we can cushion any kind of if this show bombs. And they haven't. That's the great part. We're going to new towns and they're doing well. And so it's really just allowed us to kind of get the word out there. But now that we're out there in these markets, if TV was gone, it's going to be harder to get new ones. But the ones we've already got to, we're already there. They know who we are. So it would slow down our growth, but it wouldn't eliminate it. So we'd adapt.
Right. Again, I just want to remind everybody, these are not my questions. They were submitted by people. I'm just reading them. So with that said, you just mentioned the TV programs. Question sent to us. Jason Mosier described IHW Unstoppable as a, quote, live events broke up into TV show segments, whereas their show, Voltage, is a television property first and foremost. Do you see your TV show less quality than Voltage?
No. No.
Just a one-word answer.
Elaborate. That statement is fairly true, though. I put it a different way. When I look at it, Voltage is a TV show about wrestling, and Unstoppable is a wrestling show on TV. So there is some truth to it. It is very much live event wrestling on TV. We don't try to be Monday Night Raw at all, because that's not the product we're going to excel at. We're a wrestling show. You're going to see wrestling matches. There's promos, there's some backstage stuff, but it is part of pro wrestling today. But we don't focus on that. We focus on the in-ring matches. But is it a lesser quality? No, I mean, everyone's got their own opinions. I mean, I'm very proud of our show. I think production-wise, we're better. I think the quality of the overall roster is better. I think we're the better show. I understand, to my understanding, that Voltage is the #1 viewed show on TV1. Then I get that. Based on the people they use, are going to get a lot of attention outside of the Maritimes. And Halifax is bigger than Moncton, so they're going to have more of that kind of that. I was at the live show. I want to see it on TV now. They're going to have more of those people watching it. It'll be interesting to see how we do with season 3 now that we have all these new markets. But, I mean, that's great. Wrestle Center, if they're the #1 show on TV1, fantastic, because that means, if you look at it, Unstoppable is the next tab over. Click. It's only going to help us. And the same would be true in reverse. If IHW is the #1 show, Wrestle Center Voltage is the next tab over. It's going to help them too. So I don't think we're the lesser show by far, but that's just my opinion. What do you think?
Great. I love everything.
No, you don't.
There was a time where I was on both shows, so
simultaneously.
I don't know how too many.
Did you pull a Rick Rude?
Yeah. All right. Let's dive right into it.
1 second, Dave.
Oh.
To everyone over in this little thing over here, I'm not really leaving the comments, but if you hear me say something, ask some follow-up questions. We don't have to go by what they're saying.
Yeah, feel free, you guys.
If you want me to elaborate on something, please get me to elaborate. I definitely will.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to dive right into the whole maritime wrestling scene now as a whole. The question, we brought it up today on our Facebook page. I'm going to ask you, what are your views on the current maritime wrestling scene?
Well, it's winter, so nothing's happening. Very current. Well,
That's not what I meant.
based on 2015 and projections for 2016, I think it's extremely positive. I know some people are more negative than I am, but I see a lot of the good. But that's because I see basically with IHW, and I'm very optimistic about our future. I'm very proud of what we did, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do next year. There is definitely some bad wrestling in the Maritimes. I think there's always been. And one time IHW was the bad wrestling, honestly. But I think overall you have a lot of really talented wrestlers, even if promoters aren't quite nailing as far as promoting goes. And I'm not talking about people beyond IHW. That includes us as well. I think you're still getting such a good product in a lot of places. Not everywhere, but give me time, I'll get there. I'll make it better. I mean, I don't want to. Well, I got to call out individual promotions and say what I think about this one, but I'll just say overall, it's a pretty good scene.
Well, a quick follow up to that, because you said some of the lesser, not great companies are out there, but for someone that's new and trying to get into the wrestling scene, do you tell them you guys should take bookings at these places, even though it's looked upon by more established guys as crappy wrestling? But they need to get booking somewhere. They need to. So like up and comer, just got out of school, wrestling school, and I have no choice but to get booked on the Virgil show at the Man show or whatever. What do you say? What are your thoughts on that?
You gotta do what you gotta do, really. And as a promoter, I might like rip apart that promoter for what they did, and I'll rip apart the fans who support it too. That makes me mad too. Fans have a part to play in this too. If you give your money to these terrible promotions, you're keeping them going. If you know it's bad and something better is out there for you, don't go to the bad shows. The wrestlers, I blame the least, because the guys who need to get their start somewhere, they got to go somewhere. Like I said, I'm not going to give a lot of first matches in IHW unless you're a Madison Miles, who everyone knows is probably not going to happen, or you happen to be natural at a wrestling school, which very few people, almost no one's a natural at wrestling school. Everybody sucks when they start. You got to go suck somewhere. So I'm fine with these promotions existing. I don't like it when they're just in the towns that I want to run in. If they're somewhere not too far away, go over there. Go get your matches there. But yeah, I can't get mad at the wrestlers for doing it. Even the guys who are never going to be anything. If you wanted to be a wrestler and you have the option to do it the easy way with some crappy promotion that's going to let you do it, why wouldn't you? It's human nature to take the easy route at everything. I try to tell these guys, though, you're there to get your start, but if you're not doing what it takes to go beyond that, you don't want to stay with this one promotion. I don't know why anyone wants to be lower than one promotion. That's nuts. But it's a dead end, and you're never going to get anywhere with it. So, if you want to go work for somewhere that's lesser quality to start off, okay. But if you look at any of the promotion, be it IHW, Wrestle Center, Vision, TCW, whatever you think is the next step up, do what it takes to get involved. Don't just say, well, I'm at this one, I'm going to stay here. That's ridiculous.
Right. Quickly, we got a live question to decide. How bad or good do you think Burke, and to a lesser extent Greaser James Carr leaving, affects the local scene? So are these spots that need to be filled?
It's good for some guys to get that step up. Now there's definitely we got to move people up as far as rankings and perception goes, but it really does hurt. Burke, he really was the MVP of 2015, probably 2014. And a guy like him, you can't tell him how great he is because he'll take it all goes to his head. But he really was. He was the best for a couple years.
Not wrestlers.
Yeah, it really hurts to have him gone. But I think it's overall better for us that he is and gets exposure elsewhere. I hope what he's doing in Vegas is going to get him well known, and he'll be home at least for appearances now and then. If it doesn't work out that well, he'll be back full time, and I hope he comes
Right.
back, but I hope it's not for a while. For him to grow and for our exposure to grow through him. Greaser is the same. He's he's something different. He's something special with wrestling because like if anyone hears me talk about Voltage, I'm not a big fan of the backstage vignettes. I don't think they come across very well. But when Greaser was on them, Greaser pulled those off so well. He was by far the best guy at that. And that's kind of something I want to move into too with Unstoppable is do a little more TV style pro wrestling. He was a guy we could have used to really focus that with, but life takes us all in different directions. So it's again another guy. I hope he goes off, gets better, and comes back.
Speaking of Marcus Burke, a question that was sent to us in a recent, I guess there was a Q&A on Facebook. Jason Mosier takes credit for Marcus Burke's success thanks to the way he was booked in Wrestle Center and the Halifax fans. Do you see this as a true statement?
No, I think that's a really arrogant statement to make. The only person who gets credit for Marcus Burke's career is Marcus Burke. He worked so hard, and I've known the guy for 10, 12 years. Excuse me. He started off here. He went to Quebec. The scene there was so bad that he quit. Then he moved home. And we all knew he's going to get back eventually. And when he finally... trying to fight a cold here. When he got back, when he finally got back in it, from that day onward, up till the day he left and up till today, he's worked hard to get where he is. So, I apologize. Say it was just Wrestle Center that did it? No. It's everywhere he went that did it. Wrestle Center was added to it because it's one more place you can get experience and try different things. There's parts of the vegan character that he tried in Halifax that got over, but there's parts that he did in Moncton too that got over. Vegan Power was really, really good here. That the mesh between the two helped him. So yeah, no one gets to take credit for it. If someone does, very specifically, Marcus Burke in Wrestle Center, he got to wrestle Chris Daniels and other guys. I'm blanking on it, but in IHW, he got to wrestle against Jake the Snake Roberts. Well, who got him that booking in Las Vegas?
Oh, you just brought up Jake Roberts. Question was sent to us. You brought in Jake Roberts for your anniversary show. What was he like? And do you plan on bringing any other established names to IHW in 2016?
Yeah, we do. We used to do just established guys once a year in the anniversary show. That's not so much the plan anymore. I don't want to stick to a formula if it doesn't make sense. I don't want the struggle to find somebody just because it's September. Do we want to bring the guys in? Yeah, we kind of do. I don't want to be known for that. Other promotions are. I don't want to fall into that. But for right now, there are a few guys I do want to bring in and try and hopefully pop a few more good crowds to get the eyes on the locals. Because the local product is so good. I just need to get more people in to see it. So, yeah. The next level, the plan is, it may not work out, but the plan is to hotshot a few more pretty big names into IHW's towns and see what we can do with it. As far as how Jake was excellent. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to spend much time with them because that was the biggest show IHW ever ran, coupled with our debut in Miramichi, so I was running everywhere. I didn't spend much time with Jake. I know you got to. You were kind of his go-to guy. But from what you
Greatest 2 days of my life.
From what you tell me and from what the guys are saying, he seemed like he had a genuinely good time with IHW and really enjoyed himself. His daughter Cody expressed as much. She enjoyed herself and said he had a good time. So, I didn't even consider bringing Jake back. I don't think I'd put him on again in Moncton and Miramichi. I'd take him somewhere else, maybe up north. I don't know anything about promoting stand-up comedy. But I might give it a try because apparently the track record for Jake's stand-up in the Maritime isn't great. So nowhere to go but up, right?
I don't know nothing about that.
It's your fault, Dave Boyce.
Everything's my fault. Quickly follow up. That big anniversary show was at the old Cosmo. Me personally, highlight of my short career. I love that venue. A few fans kind of growled, but fans growl about
Yeah,
a lot. What did you feel about that show? What was your view and what was your thoughts of that?
Oh,
that
it was
big
incredible.
Show?
It's might be the highlight of my time in pro wrestling. Just to know that we worked so hard for that. You know, I don't take full personal credit, but I put a lot of work into it, so I get to see how that turned out. Yeah, I know some fans didn't like it. A lot of the old school fans who've been around for a while, they didn't enjoy the venue. But to all the new fans who have never seen it before, it was amazing to them. And to all the wrestlers and all the production staff, that place was just incredible. It changed the vibe of a wrestling show. There's been nothing like it. So I know everyone to get the same old good seats and parking was an issue. I hear you, but there's a lot of good that came out of that venue. I hope, despite some people's didn't like it, I hope they'll be back because we are going to run it again. It was not a one-time thing. I'll let that be known now. We are going to go back. Exactly when? We'll announce that when it comes, but it's more than a one-time shot there. So, suck it up, I guess.
I just remember before the show. We were out back looking out the window, and the lineup, and it was pouring rain, and the lineup was and I remember Titus saying he's never seen that before in his career. No. So it was a great show.
It was fantastic, and the number of people came out to see it. I really can't complain. I can complain about some things on our end. We maybe should have had the foresight on, but live and learn, I guess. Next time we go back, we'll make some changes, but we'll be back.
Cool. A question sent to us. They were talking a lot about the saturation of wrestling in Nova Scotia. In New Brunswick, it's not so bad. You have Vision Pro, you have IHW.
One second. And I don't know if you can hear my dog barking, but I sure can.
We can hear it too.
Let me just bring him in here. Come on down. All right. Go ahead. I got him here now. Want to say anything?
Nova Scotia is kind of saturated with wrestling. The question was, in New Brunswick, you have Vision Pro, IHW, and another company. What are your views on Vision? What are your views on Vision Pro? Are they competition? Are they a company that you could see yourself working alongside with?
Oh, we already kind of do.
What's the deal in New Brunswick?
Yeah, we already kind of work with Vision. We help each other out on some things. We get some different deals on equipment and stuff, and sponsors and stuff. We share information. Keep in mind that the Vision's run by our TV champion and one of our referees that we can't do much without. So it wouldn't be wise to run against them or not work with them. But I'm a big fan of Vision. They remind me of IHW just a couple years ago. On one hand, they're just starting out because they're a new company. They're only in they just went their first year. But they're not quite new because they're running the towns that have already been run. But those towns have also been burned. I know XWA did good business for a while, and then through various things, business just dropped. And they have to fight against that. So it's a bit of an uphill battle for them. I've offered a lot of help to them, and they're actually very proud with what they're doing. And they go, no, we will do this on our own. Fantastic, all right. If you ever need anything, we're here. So, yeah, for sure. Vision and IHW, there's a lot of places in New Brunswick we can definitely share the profits. There's enough towns and enough. They're running two big cities, so they've got, St. John is pretty much the same size as Moncton, and then Fredericton's be behind that. So they got two big cities that they're trying to establish in their first year. So that's a lot of work. So We'll work some towns around them and make sure we give them some breathing space so they can expand as well. There's lots of places to go.
Cool. Speaking of, that's a great segue. A fan sent the question: would you or are you planning on bringing IHW to Nova Scotia in 2016.
Yes. Here we are. And not everybody wants to hear that. There's only one place in Nova Scotia. I'm not going to announce it now because we have a lot of work to put into it. And if it doesn't happen, I don't want egg in my face. We're planning on. There is one town in Nova Scotia we want. We're making every effort to run them. No one's running right there. No one is running there right now, so we're not stepping any toes. But, yep. It's driving distance from Halifax, too. So come check it out.
Quick follow-up. How's that going to affect, do you think, some of the wrestlers that wrestle for you and an established company in Halifax?
Well, again, we're not running a town anyone else is running in. So no one should have an issue working the IHW show that's going to happen in Nova Scotia if we can get it going. If there is, and someone's making a ridiculous request over this. So I don't think anyone should be able to complain about it or cause issue, but maybe they will.
Question sent. If you were a promoter for wrestling in Halifax and not Moncton, what would you do to change the Halifax wrestling scene as a promoter?
Well, I don't know Halifax that well. I've been there a number of times, but I don't live there, so it's hard for me to make truly educated answers on this. A couple of things. Because there have been people who said IHW should run Halifax and go, no, there's too much wrestling there. First, if I was to promote, like, if there's already wrestling there, why do you need to also be running there? There are other places you could go. I think that's a big problem with Halifax. People want to be the Halifax promoter when they could be the promoter somewhere else. One thing I would do different, though, is I don't get the love of the Halifax Forum MultiPurpose Centre. I don't know why every promotion insists on running there. It's expensive. It's got good size, but I'm sure there must be something else in Halifax, Dartmouth that is of good size and cheaper. I don't get the love of that venue. It's nice. I've been there many times, but it's not the be-all, end-all of wrestling venues. That's the first thing I would do is go look for another venue. I don't know. Besides that, all I can do is apply the formula that IHW works with newspaper radio. It might be harder in Halifax because there's way more going on there. It might be hard to get the word out of an event. But I wish I had a better answer, but I don't know Halifax well enough other than to say, like,
right.
Don't run against established promotions.
I agree with you. We talked about, not me and you, but someone else the other day about the multipurpose center. It's so big that when you run a show, people are so spread around. It looks like it's not well attended. Like there's like 50 people over in the liquor section that's way down the corner. Like recently we had a show there for TCW you were involved in. And apparently the number was there was over 200 people there. But because they were so spread up all around them, it looked like there was about 80 people there.
Now, I don't know if you've ever been to the Coverdale Rec Center in Riverview where we used to run all the time. If you would put that number there, it would look packed and it would have been loud.
Packed.
But if you're expecting 500 people, I guess you go there. But if you're realistically expecting 200 people, go to a place that fits 200. That's true of any place. Like a lot of there's this old saying: when you go to a town, you want to go to the biggest venue because the biggest shows with the big venue. You want to make a big deal. Well, come on, we gotta get past that. Local pro wrestling is what it is. We draw the numbers that we do. Let's embrace that. Let's try to grow that number, but let's be realistic what we're going to get at a show. We're talking hundreds, not thousands. So let's not put ourselves in these big venues and make us look small. Let's go to the smaller venue that we can pack and look big. And if we fill it consistently, then we go to the next step up and pay more money if we need to. About money too. Like, why waste money in a venue that expensive? And the multipurpose center is not cheap by far. It's not cheap, so I don't get it. Is there? I'll ask you, Dave, is there a place in Halifax that would be good for wrestling? That's like our Lions Club or a rec center that could fit. Plus, it's going to pop a good 400 people minimum if you work really hard at a really good show. So.
Well, I know there's a lot of those one-sided arenas. Like I go to roller derby in Dartmouth, and there's a great little arena that just has the stands on one side, so it's a smaller, tighter, and that place looks packed for roller derby.
Now,
and that's not they're not even using the floor. That's for the skaters. There's the Olympic Hall here in Halifax. They complain about that place is there's no parking, but it's a smaller. I know they have MMA fighting there and stuff. Some people don't want to run shows in Halifax gyms or high school gyms, and I can understand that. But
if you have to, you go to some small towns. That's the only place available. I get it, but if you don't have to run a high school gym, yeah, I wouldn't run a high school gym. They don't have the best look to them. Would Halifax people living in Halifax travel to Dartmouth for a show, or is there that kind of this invisible barrier that keeps people out?
I can only speak personally. I would go to Dartmouth if the show was there. There's a lot of smaller arenas over there, and it's probably a hell of a lot cheaper than the city of Halifax. Even Bedford, Sackville, like they're all 10-minute drives.
I know. Speaking of here in Moncton, we ran shows in Riverview.
I mean, my God, sorry, I was just going to say there's Halifax fans that drive to Moncton to see IHW, and that's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, but it hurt to walk up. I'm talking about people who are just kind of like casual fan, like, hey, there's a show downtown Halifax, or the show over in Dartmouth. We want to cross the bridge, pay whatever the bridge toll is. Because I know here in Moncton, people wouldn't go to Riverview. You go across the bridge. Moncton's not big. You cross the bridge, you take a left, it's right there. There was some kind of barrier that kept people from going to Riverview from Moncton. And it didn't cost to go across the bridge. They just wouldn't do it. So right. I don't know if it's the same kind of thing in Halifax with Dartmouth.
I don't know. I know Wrestle Center had a show at Exhibition Park, and fans complained that the buses didn't go a certain time, so they wouldn't go. And Exhibition Park, and again,
Halifax
is
fans
10
are going to
minutes.
Complain about everything. That's Halifax.
I didn't say that. Let's look back in time. IHW question we got: in the 10 years of IHW, what has been your favorite moment, and what has been the worst moment?
Favorite? Well, wow. Let's start with the worst, because I'm a positive person, so I don't think of a lot of. The worst was with that negative period where we almost folded. That was bad. There's not a whole lot of real negatives with IHW. There's been disappointments, like things weren't as good as it could have been. But one thing about IHW that you ask any wrestler who's been in IHW, it is by far the best locker room of any wrestling promotion that I've ever been in, and definitely in the Maritimes. Everyone knows that. So there's not a lot of personal drama going on, except for we were talking about that. In general, it's a great positive place. So there aren't that many negatives that I can talk about. I can talk about disappointments, but I tend to move on and focus on the positive things. It's my favorite moments. Wow. Well, the old Cosmo was definitely top that, because that was just surreal to kind of be in that venue. What made it really good, because I talked about when I ran crappy shows, we ran them in the same building. Back when it was called the O2. We ran them on Sundays. We drew about 50 people average to those shows. They were as bad as any of the bad stuff we talk. Probably worse than some of the bad stuff we criticize now, to be honest with you. It's just cool that 11 years later. I add one thing. There was Gary Williams and Duke McIsaac. I don't know if anyone remembers Duke. They came to one of the shows, watched it, and then after went backstage and told us, "Stop wrestling. What you're doing is hurting the business. You guys shouldn't be doing this." And we listened, but there was no other options for us. There was nowhere else to get booked if we wanted to work harder. So it just felt good. 11 years later, I get to run the venue with a good show, a good roster, and book Gary on there at the same time. So Gary and I laughed about it. So any other good moments? I don't know. One of my favorite instances in wrestling, if you can find the match, I wrestled Titus in a fans bring the weapons match. He hit me with a pie, like a blueberry pie that someone had brought. And when you think of a cartoon of someone getting hit in the face with that pie, that cartoon squishing sound, it made that perfectly in real life as the pie smashed in the face and blew everywhere. Pie in the face.
Someone has to find that. Dave Colley, find that match. It wasn't me too.
I haven't been able to find it. Dave put that match back up. It's one of my favorite. It's one of the funniest things I've ever done. I loved it.
We got a live question. Any chance of having a cage match in 2016? Do you guys even own? Do you have a cage?
We don't. Vision, I believe, does. They haven't done well, their venue in St. John, I don't think would be a comedy cage. I don't know about Fredericton. They have a cage I think would fit a ring. I have never really tried it out. Cage match. The options are there. We can definitely look at it. We've never done it. I just gotta, I guess, kind of have to.
Never in 10 years?
No, we've never had a cage. Now we have access to one if Visions will fit, so we'll have to just talk to them, see what we can do with it. Yeah, I mean, I guess we've had this option for a while. We just never really thought about it. Every venue we run could definitely accommodate a cage, so I guess when the match just feels right for a cage match, we'll do it. I don't know what that match would be offhand, but yeah, we can put some stuff together. I mean, we can get there. 2016, I won't guarantee anything, but yeah, we can definitely try to figure something out. I'm thinking about it now. You know what? That question has now put cage match in my head, so I'm going to go back to the drawing board and look, how can we make a cage match happen? So thank you for the question. You may get your wish.
Yeah, okay. Who would be your dream booking top star, past or present? So, boom, Kevin Tyler has all the money in the world. Who would be the one guy that you would dream, like, just bring the
Can I bring back the dead?
Sure.
I'll tell you somebody we really wanted to bring in. It was the backup plan to Jake and the plan for doing this year. Unfortunately, he passed in the meantime. Was Roddy Piper. That to me would have been a dream. There's not a lot of guys from that era that I get too crazy about that I have to have them in, but Roddy Piper would have been something really special. So that's unfortunate. I'll never have a chance to meet him and never have a chance to have him in IHW. Based on who is still here, someone we've looked into, and financially we can't make sense of it, but if I got the money to, Rob Van Dam would be an awesome guy to have. I looked into it. Not going to happen. We talked about Jeff Hardy at one time. That would be pretty cool. Beyond that, we're talking about Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. And not that that's out of the realm of possibility. It could happen someday, but just not right now. But yeah, if I had the money, yeah, why not bring Hulk Hogan to Moncton?
Well, that's why a lot of people compliment IHW for is just booking their shows around the local talent, that they're the stars. Like, you don't need to bring big names in. You do once a year for your anniversary show or whatever. But question that we got was, how important is it to you to establish and build the local guys as megastars? In their words, not mine.
Megastars, yeah, that's what we call. That's our business. That's what we do. We are in the business of building up local guys as stars, and there are so many local guys with enough talent and who look good that you would believe that these guys are stars. If we said they were from Los Angeles and London or wherever, people might believe that. I never wanted to go. I never really liked it when guys locally would say, "Yeah, I'm from Vegas." Like, no, you're not. We all know you're not. You're from Moncton. You're from Halifax. Be proud of that. We'll put the guys out there and say, "Look at these guys," and then they go, and they're local. That just feels special, I guess. It's a bit of maritime pride. So It's all about building up the local guys. And it's bringing in the big names. Like, we used to do it once a year. 2016 might see a little more than we usually do, because I have some ideas just to kind of get some eyes on the product. But eventually, I like to reach a point where it would be completely useless to bring in anybody, because the local guys are such big stars. You don't need – no one else would add anything to the product. That's the goal.
Right. And, of course, IHW is not just wrestlers. You have a great team behind the scenes. Question was, tell us a little bit about the team that you have working with you behind the scenes.
They are incredible. Not enough credit goes to them. And let's give all props to producer Dave. He makes everything we do look pretty. He makes it look good. Makes it sound good. He's awesome. Be it the live event or on Unstoppable. Dave is a hardworking guy who can do things. He's brilliant. He can do things that most people can't, as far as with editing and production goes. a lot of credit on the audio end, and a lot of things go to Chris Cole. I'm a big fan of Chris Cole. So when I listen to Unstoppable and he's doing the commentary, I love it. So he's a big part of it. A Cauldron Project, who do our intro song, they add a lot to it. They're at every show. They're helping out. They're a lot of the equipment, so a lot of credit goes there. Yeah, and to all the other guys who are, like yourself, for sure. You've expanded to social media. You've taken that away from me, which is great, because I found myself spending too much time trying to hype things on Facebook when I need to be hyping things up out there in the real world. So, Dave Boyce, you're a huge help to IHW. Yeah, Brian Langell on commentary, Shano, Mike Russell, the whole crew. Dave's dad is a big help.
Dad, I was going to say, Dave's
dad is a big part of helping us out. Our cameraman, Pierre, and the cameraman. So I feel bad about that. But Pierre's really stepped up more than just, he used to be just our wide camera guy. Well, now Pierre's on the floor, and Pierre does our backstage stuff. And Pierre is now adding a lot as far as our backstage interviews go. He's suggesting things and helping guys out.
Bless you.
You hear that? Not about you, hon. So everyone, it's really not about just having wrestlers on there. It's about having a whole good team. We have a great team. Absolutely. And I don't want to be rude. You know what? All the various girlfriends and wives who do the door and the merchandise, the 50-50 and all that, that's so important. We couldn't do it without them either. So.
Shameful. Looking into 2016, I have a question, because I always joke around that I have a wish list for 2016, and that's stairs. Is there anything that you want for IHW in 2016?
Stairs? Yeah, I agree. And
no silly string.
Don't get me started on the silly string. It's a great moneymaker. Anyway. Yeah, like it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, we definitely need some stairs. There's other things, we to spruce up the ring a little bit. By the first show, we may have made some changes to the ring. I don't know. It needs some stuff at some point. Who knows? That's come to that. A lot of the stuff that we're renting and equipment we should buy, but let Dave worry about that. For me, wish list is just about it's towns and new places to go, opportunities for TV. That's where I focus on, and different talent. There's a lot of guys out there that I'd like to really get a chance to use in 2016. The advantage of it, we have so many episodes of TV that we can start bringing in some different guys. I like cycling guys in all time. I know some of the wrestlers take it personally that they're not booked on every show. They shouldn't see it that way, because it keeps them fresh, and it gives opportunity to other guys to kind of come in a cycle. Like obviously with IHW, you go to every IHW. There's some guys you're always going to see. You're always going to see Titus. You're always going to see Julian. You're always going to see Remy, because they live here. It just makes it easier to book them. But as far as anyone else, I like to cycle it in and kind of keep things fresh. So towns and different guys. That's all I can say.
Question: when will IHW begin wrestling again in 2016? Is there a date already penciled in, or?
We're working on it. I'm aiming for late March. There's a lot of factors, stuff we gotta figure out, but late March. We don't want to go too early because the weather. You've seen our weather here the past couple of years. Late March is still risky for running shows, so. The end of March we're aiming for, and but once we get going, fans, I'll let you know we're gonna have a busy spring. We're gonna be running a lot of shows if all goes well. I'll admit I'm aiming for 8 shows between the end of March and the middle of June, and only 3 months.
Great.
So, lots of travel. But
I'll start my divorce papers now.
Your wife. Tell March the 55th the door.
Well, that's all the questions that were sent to me. If anybody here has any more questions, they can certainly ask. If not, Mr. Tyler, good job, sir.
Well, I'll give him a couple minutes
That
of
is,
complimenting him there in case they want any. I have not been paying
yeah.
attention to the sidebar. Has anyone said anything important? Where's
Now they're just
Temptation
talking
Island?
about themselves.
I don't know what
uh,
Temptation Island is.
while we're waiting, is there anything you want to say to the fans of IHW?
Thank you for supporting us over 10 years, or thank you for supporting us for one show if that's all you've been to. You know, we can't do it without you, and you know, you guys are just getting crazy loud. And I think, and I don't hate to give credit to them. It's like praising Marcus Burke. It's dangerous, but yeah, the Halifax fans are having an impression on the Moncton fans and the IHW fans. There's some traveling. I'm sure some of the Moncton fans are watching Voltage and they're seeing what Halifax acts like, and they're stepping up their game because at one time Moncton, or mostly Riverview, was notorious for dead crowds. It took, you had to kill yourself to impress them.
Right.
We don't see that anymore. So basically, the guys go out there and just put on the best show they can, and people love every minute of it. So, yeah,
It's funny because Kirk Obey was in the ring at the last show, and the fans were doing the and Dave Cawley would nudge me. He goes, "Is that a Halifax thing?" I said, "Yeah."
It's a Maritime thing.
Man,
How's that?
let's quickly talk about some of the wrestlers. Kirk Obey, to me, I mean the Exile faction that's going on. The fans are excited about that.
Yeah.
But Kirk Obey has just improved leaps and bounds, in my opinion. What's your opinion on some of the guys that you have?
Well,
let's talk about Kirk.
I can't say enough good stuff about Kirk. And not like the brag, but the moment I saw him in this first day of wrestling school, I go, this guy's got something. And sure enough, a few weeks in, he was really showing he kind of got it. And Kirk is, he's everything a pro wrestler needs to be. He's going to be a big deal someday. He's getting his experience. What I'm so impressed about, within his first year of wrestling, he had wrestled in 4 provinces in 1 state. That's, a lot of the guys we think are big deals here didn't work that much. There wasn't that opportunity, but he wants to be a pro wrestler. He wants to take all those dates. He wants to get out there. So that's fantastic. The Exile faction, I'm pretty happy with that. I got to say that turn at the last show really went over well. It's one of the best turns we've ever done in IHW. A lot of times guys just, they kind of show up the next show and like, I'm a babyface now. And kids are like, all right. We don't always do turns very well. That one went over extremely well. And, I like having this Exile thing. It's something different. We haven't had a real faction like that. We've had tag teams. We've had a manager stable. Now we're going to see what we can do with a 3-man combo. I'm excited. And it makes the matchmaking exciting and different for next year. So, and
kudos.
That's what I like.
And kudos to Steve and Shane as well. Steve with the whole angle that he started in the summer where he changed his name and he was going rogue. And the fans are excited to see where it goes. So.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. We'll see. I'll come up with something, or they'll come up with something. We'll get there. They'll be exciting. I'm very excited for this.
I asked a question a couple weeks ago on our Facebook page who the fans thought should be the number 1 contender for Riddick Stone's title in 2016. What do you think? What's the plans for Riddick Stone in 2016?
Oh yeah, plenty of plans for Riddick Stone in 2016. As long as he brings his A game, he can stay champ. We'll push him as champ. I might be his biggest fan in the world. Honestly, I'm a huge Riddick Stone fan, so I won't hide that. I like seeing all those answers, and it kind of. I have plans for the matchmaking I like to do with Riddick in the early part of the year. What I really want to know is, what do the fans think? Do you agree with? You probably can't guess what I'm going to do. That's fine. But stuff to keep in mind: who do the fans see as could be a champion or at least a contender? So whatever we do in the spring, at least, going forward, we know who the fans will accept us working in, which again makes my job a lot easier. So when some of these expected, when the fans were all a lot of them to Remy, Remy's one of the most popular guys in IHW, so I saw that coming. Of course, Julian, of course, Dick. I kind of didn't expect as much support for Steve Arsenault, just because he's so disliked. But a lot of fans do see, despite the fact they don't like him, see the talent he's got, and they see him as a top guy in IHW, which is great. It's interesting seeing Brody Steele's name in there too. He's never been a guy that we focus the title on. He's always been the kind of just the big bully of IHW, but that's interesting too.
Yeah, I can't wait. 2016 is going to be pretty exciting.
It's going to be a lot of work. Get ready.
Yeah.
We're going to be on you all the time and get this tweet out there and Facebook this and do all that stuff.
Great. I can't wait. With that, Kevin, we'll end it here. That was enough questions. We've been here, kept everyone for over an hour and 15 minutes. So that was a pretty good chunk of questions for you.
Yeah.
The fans are itching to get back to wrestling. We were talking with some fans the other night. Like, wrestling just stopped a month ago, and people are like jonesing for wrestling. So 2016 is going to be good.
Me too. And I was working so hard by the end of it that when it's leading up to that last show we did in November, everyone's kind of getting sad. The rest is coming in, the fans and the wrestlers. For me, it's like, oh, I can't wait. I need a break. I need just to spend a month not even thinking about wrestling. I went a week. I had one good weekend of sleep. And I came back the next Monday and was like, okay, 2016, where are we going with this? So I'm already working on it now. And I hope it all works out well. And I'm pretty sure it will. And we're going to have a great year.
I don't even think you waited a week, because I think the morning at the hotel when I was checking out, you texted me to do something. I was like, can you at least give me 24 hours?
Yeah,
Can we kind of tip the hat to the fans that we're thinking about doing the Best of 2015 awards? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, let's do that.
So fans, you can.
Let's do some awards. Let's. We still got 3 months before there's any wrestling, so we got to do something.
Yeah. So
I don't like
so look for that.
Away. I'll tell you why, because I find that the recency skews people's opinions. So you do the awards right after, they're going to vote for the last great match they saw. So let's all take a breather and think of the year as a whole. Because my favorite match happened early in the year. I won't say it so fans won't vote because they think I want to hear. But I think everyone should just kind of take a break and then look at. So yeah, we should do some awards for 2015. At least best match,
so
best wrestler.
Yeah, well, yeah, we got a few categories that we're chit-chatting about, so we'll see where that goes. That's it, man. Thank you so much for taking out this time to answer the fans' questions. Hopefully the Q&A season is over for a bit. It seems like everyone was doing Q&As. So, but man, this was awesome.
I hope
you had fun.
Gonna pop in. I got one too. Whatever. We get to talk about wrestling. Keeps us all entertained. Whatever. I gotta say, I'll say it. The when Jason Mosier did the one on that weekend. He did the Wrestle Center one, the Madison Miles one. I was entertained all weekend reading that thing. So, anyone else wants to step up, keep me entertained? Hey, I'd appreciate it.
Well, we'll try. We'll try to entertain you, Kevin, in the off season.
Appreciate it. I entertain you all year long. Entertain me for a little bit.
Exactly. Guys, follow IHW on Facebook, Twitter, IHW.ca, the website. We'll have this video, the replay, up on all those as well. Watch for updates. The seasons, March will come pretty fast.
Too fast.
Kevin Tyler, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
Coming in with a battalion behind me. I'm gonna knock you out. Get from in front of me, 'cause I'm coming in with a battalion